Chelsea fans, welcome back to Talking Chelsea. Welcome back to your Chelsea news. The colours of Chelsea's third kit next season has already been leaked. Estevao shines for Brazil, Chelsea go in for another South American teenager, and Robert Sanchez is in line for an improved contract. Now, of course, I'll be giving my own thoughts and opinions on everything that's been reported, but more importantly, I want to know what you guys think down below in the comments. And before we get into the video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe if you are a Chelsea fan who enjoys Chelsea content. We're on the road to 15k by the end of the season. You can also use the new YouTube hype feature, which pushes this video out to a bigger audience. Kicking things off, footy headlines have reported that Chelsea's 26-27 third kit will mainly be white combined with red and blue, with the official colours being white, rush blue and global red, and it will also feature a retro crest. Now I'm looking at this picture and it takes me back. Now I am an unk, I am old, or I'll happily admit that. And there's something about Chelsea's retro badge. It's the badge I remember the most growing up. Now, I know we changed it. Obviously, we had the centenary year and we kept it. And I absolutely love our new crest. But there's something about this Chelsea badge that I just absolutely adore. My dad has a tattoo of that. He then got a tattoo of the new one when we changed it. Just always being around it. Dad wearing Chelsea shirts. It was just always on the TV. It's just something that's ingrained in me personally from my age group. And I actually remember Chelsea having red on their away kit. I think it was the 94, 95 maybe. Don't hold me to that. It was around, mid 90s that we had a white and blue. I think it was the Commodore shirt. Was that mid 90s? No, it might have been a bit earlier than that. Either way, I remember Chelsea having red in their away strip and red, with their home kits. And there's a lot of fans, maybe the newer fans, maybe not, I don't know. But they seem to think that Chelsea shouldn't be associated with red whatsoever. And I totally hear it, right? Because red seems to be the opposing colour to blue and it always has been that way. But the red is mainly from the Chelsea pensioners and it goes back historically. Chelsea even had red kits before, like they just have. And I'm not mad at it when it looks like this. And this is just a mock-up of the retro badge in that crest as well. I absolutely adore it. It's also very wild to me that this has been leaked halfway through the season before the next season, if that makes sense. We're not even halfway through this season, and now we're talking about what our third kit's going to look like next year. It absolutely blows my mind how quick leaks are and how fast and how soon they are compared to what it is. So it'll be very interesting to see if this is the colour scheme that's completely confirmed. You've got Lou Class, who does a lot of the sponsorships and, footy headlines as well with their leaks. They're usually bang on. They're usually spot on with this. But I actually really like that colour scheme. The question I have is if our third kit for next season is going to be mainly white, then what colour is our away kit going to be? Because normally we have that whiter, lighter colour as our away kit rather than the third choice. And the third choice could be like a yellow or a black or something a bit darker, a bit more out there because we don't use it as much throughout the season. So having this colour scheme as the third kit, it's going to be very interesting, especially what they're going to do with the shorts, the way they're going to do with the overall design, especially how they're going to incorporate the red with the blue and white. They're going to keep it subtle, like the outline of the crest, etc. Or are they going to go a bit more heavy on those colours? It'll be very interesting to see what the shorts and socks are going to look like. So yeah, I just thought it was very interesting. Again, it also blows my mind how sort of far ahead we are and how fast social media moves and how quick the leaks are for this. But I really like that design of the crest. I genuinely really do. I think this might be one that we've used prior as well. I'm pretty sure I've seen that before, but I don't know. There's just something about the retro badge, and I don't mind having a little bit of red on the kit. I think it does really have a bit of contrast for our Chelsea kits. And if this is going to be the third kit, I'm just very curious to know what our away kit is going to look like. The other part of this, what I really resonate with, and maybe it's people my age range, is that retro's back. And things that I'm seeing as a kid is now considered retro, and they're coming back into full cycle. This year with the Total 90 revamp for the third kit, absolutely love it. The Total 90 training tracksuits and things like that, absolutely love it. The pre-match kit, pre-match shirts, absolutely love it. So, and it's not just Chelsea. There's a lot of clubs that are kind of tying in their retro themes of 20 years ago, 25 years ago. I don't know, it's an absolute wild time to be alive because I love the fact that these things are coming back into fashion, being re-released, and we have like a second opportunity to go get these things. I even saw, I think it was last week, maybe the week before, something a little bit off tangent but still football related, that the original F50 Spiders have been re-released 20 years later with the newer, improved sort of studs that we're actually allowed to use. Because I don't know if you guys remember, you may be too young or you may not have, had the F50 Spiders, but when they were originally released in the early 2000s, they used to have these big chunky metal blades, and they were banned pretty much instantly after they came out because of the size and the health and safety side of it. So it's a shame that you had these amazingly beautiful boots that were only used for like a season or so before they were even banned, and then they kind of disappeared. So then being re-released, I'm like, oh my god, what a time to be alive if you are born sort of early or mid 90s, because things from our childhood are being re-released now. So I'd love to know your thoughts and opinions down below regarding this colour scheme. Your thoughts on how early leaks are becoming, and what do you think is going to happen if they stick to this colour scheme regarding that third kit? Where do you think they're going to place these colours? Brazil played Senegal last night and Estevao got the Man of the Match award. Estevao created the most chances, 3 against Senegal, and scored, making it 4 goals in 4 starts for Brazil. Ridiculous talent. Carlo Ancelotti then spoke about Estevao after the game. He said he's a very talented player. He is able to show every game in Chelsea too, and he doesn't need a lot of minutes to show his quality. He can play 5 minutes and he can show his quality. I think Brazil's national team is really lucky to have him, and also Chelsea. Estevao has an incredible amount of talent. It's a surprise this level at his age. He is good at finishing, he has a lot of magic and works very hard. I can say this, with Estevao, Brazil have a guaranteed future. Ginger Benito Hub have reported Estevao Williams' last 5 starts, where he scored a goal against Senegal, Karabag, Wolves, Ajax and 2 against South Korea, making it 6 goals in 5 matches. This kid is a superstar. He is unbelievably good. We know how good he is. He's world-class talent. But the fact that he's doing it at 18 years old at the biggest stages is unreal. Carlo Ancelotti's words hold a lot of weight. He's an incredible manager, one of the greatest managers of all time, and you can put him in all sorts of tier lists and argue he was one of the greatest. Unreal in his career. For him to say Estevao's unreal, that his level for his age is exceptional. He has magic, he works hard. We are so lucky that Estevao was humble. The amount of glazing, the amount of credit that is going his way, and rightfully so, he's earning it every step of the way. 6 goals in the last 5 matches. Chelsea's top goal scorer, joint top goal scorer of 4 goals with very, very limited minutes. Every time he plays for his national team, it looks like his team. It looks like his team. It looks like Rodrigo and Vinicius Jr. are playing backup dancer to Estevao, which is wild considering he's 18 years old. Now, I don't want this to be a glazing session, right? Because I know you guys will be like, oh, Estevao Glaze, blah, 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 he's still very young. And I appreciate it. But at the same time, credit where it's due. This kid is doing unbelievable things, and we are so lucky that he plays for Chelsea. And I'm so happy that he is humble and grounded. He's a child of God. He doesn't have that party lifestyle. He is just working hard. And Ancelotti even touches on that and says he just works hard, has a lot of magic. And Brazil's future is in his hands. Chelsea's future in his hands. Can you imagine when this kid starts playing more regular games? Now, I know that we'll get frustrated with Enzo Maresca managing Estevao's minutes, and we want to see him start more games, we want to see him play more games. And the argument is, he's young, he's adapting, you have to ease him in slowly. I totally respect that. But it gets to a point like this where you're like, look, he's banging goals. We don't want to overuse him, don't want to overwork him. I'm sure the board feel the same. I'm sure Maresca that's kind of one of his big issues, is that he's going to be an incredible talent. He already is an incredible talent. No one in the world is on this kid's trajectory right now. He's in a lane of his own. You could argue Lamine Yamal, but he kind of had his rise and now he's at the pinnacle and he's going to continue doing that. But Estevao's on his rise. He's on his journey up and he's doing something that is just special to witness. And like I said, he's playing in the Premier League now. You know, he's getting limited minutes at Chelsea, still bagging goals and assists. The way he played last night, I know it was a friendly against Senegal, he ran that match. Most chances created. He took his goal so well. And like I said, you got the likes of Rodrigo and Vinny Jr. playing backup dancer to Estevao when he's on the pitch. And I even noticed that after Estevao scored, Vinny Jr. and Rodrigo stopped passing the ball to him as much, which is a weird dynamic to have because I feel like, you know, the flair attacking players of Brazil historically have a little bit of, I wouldn't say arrogance, but a little bit of ego where it's like, I want to be the main man. And they've got a very talented squad right now. So it's very interesting to see that dynamic of how they stopped giving them the ball as much when he was very clearly in good positions. He still created the most chances. I think he played 80, 85 minutes. So we've got Burnley coming up, and we're very interested to see if he starts that game or if Maresca rests him based on the back of this. But I just love the fact that anyone that speaks about Estevao says a very similar thing. Humble, works hard, a lot of magic. The future is in bright hands with him playing. But Estevao's also spoken on Carlo Ancelotti. Ginger Benito Hub have reported what Estevao said about Ancelotti. He says, I try to maximise everything he teaches me. He is a guy with many titles and a really important curriculum, so I try to learn as much as I can from him to continue evolving in football. I thank God for putting him in my life because he's a spectacular manager and an incredible person. On a daily basis, he talks to me and he gives me advice, so he's a guy that has helped me a lot. Now I must continue working for things to go well. Did he congratulate me after the game? He gave me a hug after the match. I think that counts as a congratulations. This kid is incredible. Like, it's just his work ethic, his mindset at such a young age. You know, he is a man of God. He owes everything to his faith. He works hard. He's taking in everything, every bit of advice from Maresca. He speaks about how Maresca treats him and how he's a really good person, trying to communicate to him in Spanish because that's something they can both understand a little bit. He speaks about Ancelotti look, he's an incredible manager. I'm going to soak up everything he's given me. He speaks to me on a daily basis. It's now down to me to continue to work hard to elevate my platform. This is something you don't see from an 18-year-old. Well, maybe you do, but you don't hear about it as much because maybe they're still, working on their craft and grinding to get there. Estevao was nearly at the top of the game at a very early age, and he knows he has to continue. He's not breaking into that Chelsea first team yet, which again is an argument many of us have that he should be starting. I totally agree, and I feel like he would definitely be a regular starter for Chelsea very time soon. But it's just down to Maresca in terms of his rotation. Will it be this season? I'm hoping so. Will it be next season? 100%. If it's not, when we have to start asking questions, because this kid is so talented. So talented that you're going to have the likes of Real Madrid, Barcelona and all these other clubs coming in for him and just asking the question to Chelsea of, how much is it going to be to pry him away? And we have to mentally prepare ourselves for the likes of Real Madrid to come in for this kid in a number of years. And we just have to hope and pray that he wants to stay at Chelsea. If he can get that first team position consistently, perform at a high level at Chelsea, which we know he can do because he's already doing it with limited minutes and providing goals and assists, hopefully he stays for the long run, because we genuinely have a future Ballon d'Or winner in our squad. It is unreal. Well, it's actually mad to say that we have two, because I think Cole Palmer can go on and win a Ballon d'Or as well. But having Estevao on that team that can go on and win a Ballon d'Or, it almost feels nailed on. We should be giving Palmeiras another 40 million. We should give him 40 million a year of how good this kid is, right? And again, it's wild. I don't want it to be a glazing session. He is very, very young. He's still got to continue to do things. But it's just unbelievable that he's at this stage so early in his career, and his mindset and the way that he is as a person, how humble he is, not doing the party life, which is very easily to do when you are that age. He's always looking forward and looking to try and improve. And I absolutely adore that. So let me know your thoughts and opinions down below regarding Estevao in general. Where do you think he can get to? Do you think there is anyone in the world right now on his trajectory? Is he in his own lane right now? Can he win a Ballon d'Or in the future? Should we be giving Palmeiras more money? Because I feel like we robbed them for 40 million. Seems like another Cole Palmer situation. Aaron Ramiro has reported that Robert Sanchez is among 3 other key players in advanced talks for an improved contract at Chelsea. Now, I thought this was very interesting for a couple of reasons. One, Aaron Ramiro is popping up more and more, and we've reacted to a few of his reports recently, and they seem to be relatively on the money, or at least within the realm of actually being true, other than other sources like Secret Source or IndyCar or Fisharhez, who just come out with absolutely bogus stories, like we're going to spend 150 million on Vinny Jr. apparently. I've not even bothered reacting to that. Regardless, I don't want to be derailed. Talking about Robert Sanchez, because we've been linked with Mike Maignan, and Chelsea apparently, preparing a pre-contractual agreement in January, and Mike Maignan is determined to get that Chelsea move. These are all the reports from both sides that have been coming out for the last few months, ever since that the deal fell through in the summer, because Chelsea didn't want to pay the extra couple of million and going to try their luck on getting him on a free in the summer. So it's very interesting, because Robert Sanchez, for me, has improved massively. I've spoke about him quite a lot. I've also, I've criticised him, rightly so, when he was making all these errors this time last year, but I've also been in his corner and noticing the improvements over a long period of time. We know he's a very good shot stopper. We know that he has been told he was going to be Chelsea's number one. He's been backed. His confidence is definitely there. He has been incredibly solid for a number of months now. He had a very good Club World Cup tournament. For the final, he was phenomenal. This season, he's had one mistake, in my opinion, and that was the Man United game. Other than that, he's been solid, and I don't feel anxious that he's between the sticks anymore. I trust in Robert Sanchez. I'm like, yeah, do you know what? He isn't going to be the issue. It's the defensive line in front of him. That's where I feel more anxious right now. And again, that's going to be pretty natural because of the centre-back situation, which hopefully we can sort out with the likes of Trev and Fofana and Josh Ashimpong in rotation, etc. If that's sorted, then I feel comfortable with our defensive line, because our fullbacks are great. We know that. But it's that centre-back partnership. And Sanchez was an issue last season, but he doesn't seem to be now. So I'm not surprised that Chelsea, who have backed him from the start and have said wild things like, we're waiting for his ability to catch up with his footballing IQ, because once it does, he's going to be a world-class keeper. Maybe we're starting to see that in the last 4 or 5 months, where his decision-making has changed. It's become a bit better. He's playing less out from the back and more long form, where his distribution does thrive. Maresca's tweaked the system a little bit, so there's less pressure on Sanchez to be playing all this sweeper-keeper type thing and the short passing, which eliminates a lot of these mistakes he's been making. So I'm not surprised that Chelsea are probably looking at him, and we know that Caicedo is due for an advanced talk. Probably the likes of Oh, who else? We had Nicholas Jackson, he went on loan. We had Cole Palmer, rightfully so. Caicedo's on that list. If Sanchez is on that list, it doesn't surprise me. Probably the likes of Enzo Fernandez at some point. Maybe Marco Correa. Maybe some others that kind of rightfully deserve a bump in their contract. But I wanted to have a conversation with you guys about Robert Sanchez regarding the Mike Maignan situation and then the news like this coming out. Because like I said previously, when it comes to the Mike Maignan news, it's kind of come at the wrong time because Sanchez has been playing so well that makes you go, do we need a new keeper or do we actually stick with Sanchez? And a lot of you guys have said in the comments, and I fully respect it, that we're happy with Sanchez right now because he's in a good run of form and he has the confidence. But what happens when he has a bad run of form? Do we then immediately go, he isn't the keeper for the long term? Because I feel like that's also the same with Mike Maignan. There's a lot of people saying, yeah, Mike isn't that great, he's awful. But it could just be a run of form for him right now. You look at what he's done in his career, and you could say he's been on a decline for a few years. I don't think he's been on a decline for that long. I think he's had some bad games for sure, but I think he is a very, very good goalkeeper, especially when it comes to playing out the back. But I also feel like Sanchez is also on the rise because he's had a good run of form too. So I don't know. It asks more questions than it answers for me in terms of the goalkeeper situation. I think it's very clear because I feel like you could welcome a new goalkeeper, and we've gone over this situation before, or you could quite easily be back in the goalkeeper situation we have right now. For me, if you're doing that, the question mark shifts from Sanchez to Jorgensen and go, what are we going to do with you? What are we going to do with Jorgensen? At the end of the season, I think there are going to have to be questions that are asked. It's going to be very dependent on how he performs this season, in my opinion. How Enzo Maresca utilises him. Does he step up? Because when Jorgensen's between his sticks, oh wow, I feel very, very anxious. Because he's not been great when he has performed. He's just glued to his line, doesn't command his box, makes errors in terms of simple saves. And look, it's easy for me to say as an armchair fan, but comparing Sanchez to Jorgensen right now, Sanchez is miles clear. And even when we speak about the likes of Mike Maignan, there are fans that they're saying Mike Maignan is terrible compared to Sanchez, and Sanchez is well up there. Now, what is also a key thing to understand right now is we do talk about the defensive errors, we talk about Sanchez, but as of right now, Chelsea I think are second or third best in the league right now in terms of clean sheets. I think we're second in clean sheets, so we're obviously doing something right. We're obviously doing something right considering we've had such a bad defence from the start of the season and we're second in clean sheets. I find that wild as a statistic. So, look, if we keep this up, who knows? Maybe we just give the team time and then we don't actually need any improvements in January. We can use that money or shift that focus to somewhere else. And Sanchez can get a pay rise, whether he gets a contract extension, whether he just gets a pay rise, maybe he gets both. Who really knows? But I'd like to know your thoughts and opinions down below regarding Robert Sanchez. Among the three key players in advanced talks for an improved contract, does he deserve it? Would you still look to sell him in January or the summer? Would you look to bring in someone like Mike Maignan or a different goalkeeper? Or do we give him the contract, trust him, and just see how things go? PH Cruziennes, I think that's how you pronounce it, via Sport Witness has reported Chelsea are tracking teenager Felipe Moraes and have sent €10 million or 8.6 million to offer Cruzeiro to test the waters. I find this very interesting. I know nothing about Felipe Moraes, so I have got some stats, did a bit of research on him. Can't really find a lot. He's a very, very young player that apparently is highly sought after by a lot of European clubs. And of course, Chelsea are going in for another teenager from the South America region of the world, because that seems to be what we are doing. We're just hovering over like vultures and going, oh, you're playing half decent, you can kick ball, we're going to sign you, and see what happens. So I don't really know much about him. I find it interesting that Chelsea are trying to test the waters. I believe from what I've read, and again, doing a little bit of research, he has a release clause of like €100 million at the moment, and he's only like 17. Which is wild. So I don't know how reliable that is, but that's just what I've seen from different articles and researching that I've been doing on this player. But let's go over his positioning and his stats for this season. So his main position is an attacking midfielder, but he can play left wing and right wing. Now, I find it very interesting when you look at the main positions of youngsters, and I'm talking teenagers, because me personally, I feel like they're still learning their craft. So even though it says attacking midfielder, left wing, right wing, it could be something that he develops over time when he's working on his craft, that he actually finds that he's better suited at right wing or better suited at left wing or better suited as that 10. Because if you look at that on the surface and go, wow, he could play anywhere across that front three, of course Chelsea are after him. If he's a young talent that can play in versatile positions, Maresca's going to think, oh, if you're good enough to be in the team and you can play anywhere across that front line, we'll take you. Because that's versatility. You can play many roles for me in an ever-changing system that Maresca likes to play with rotation and different players in different positions. Regardless of what we think about that, that's obviously how the board and Maresca want to roll. They want to have versatility across that entire squad. So it's very interesting. I think primarily he plays as an attacking midfielder. I know it says his main position's there, but I think that's where he's mainly played for Cruzeiro. Again, I apologise if I've mispronounced anything. I've tried to learn them as I go. And you guys that have been following me for a little while know that I do try. All right, I'm not just being lazy. But let's talk about his statistics for this season. So this season, he has played 20 games. He started 19 of them, scored 2 goals, and got 1 assist. And, you know, he's played 14 of those games in the under-20s Brazilian League, and then 6, I believe, in their equivalent of the Cup competition so far. It's obviously very early, about a third of the way into the season, so hopefully he's going to be playing more. But I look at that, and I think for an attacking midfielder, stats aren't everything. And I think we're seeing that more and more. I'm not a GA type of person. It helps when it comes to, you know, backing yourself and having arguments, but it's not the be-all and end-all. For example, Enzo Fernandez played fantastic against Wolves, but he didn't get any GA. So people go, his output's awful. But if you actually watch the game, he was fantastic in that. And that's just an isolated incident. It happens for many, many players. So it's something to take with a pinch of salt. He's obviously very, very young, playing in the under-20s league, doing very well, getting regular minutes, which is good. And obviously he's on the radar of a lot of European clubs. But I look at that and I think, do Chelsea need another attacking midfielder who can play left and right wing? Probably not right now. This is one for the future for sure. Moraes is probably going to be one of those players that are either bought by Chelsea or by Blueco, and then we go, right, what's the story? We're going to see how he does in terms of pre-season and the training, see what the review is. Do we send him to Strasbourg? Do we just try and flip him for profit? A bit like we tried doing with David Washington, what we have done with Kendry Pires and send him on loan for another development season, what we've done with Andre Santos, go on a development season. Now with Santos and even Kendry Pires, it was very clearly outlined, and with Estevao, very clearly outlined what the future of that player was, because they were showing a certain level of talent. They're going to be part of Chelsea's first team for the future. They are the ones we're building around, alongside the likes of Caicedo, Enzo, Cole Palmer, etc. And now we've seen the evidence of that. Andre Santos coming back in, having all these bids battered away, and he is part of that Chelsea first team. And even Santos has said, you know, I've got incredible players in front of me like Caicedo and Enzo. I'm learning from them, and I'm trying to, you know, compete with them for positions on the pitch. So he could potentially be one of those players. I think we're going to have to wait until sort of time goes on and see how he develops a little more. Chelsea sending around 8.5 million for him to test the waters is very interesting, because like I said, from the research I've done, I'm not saying they're credible sources, just from what I found, he has a release clause of 100 million euros, supposedly, allegedly, whatever the word is. So it'll be very interesting to see what the club are thinking about that. They might want to keep hold of him, saying, no, we're not interested in selling him at all, because he is going to go on and do numbers. But there are a lot of top European clubs also going after him, but we also know Chelsea's stance on anyone that can kick ball in South America. So it's just very, very interesting to me to see how things go and how we are relentless in the transfer market. So I'd like to know your thoughts and opinions down below regarding Moraes. Have you heard anything from him? Have you watched anything about him? Will you be doing some research? Do you think it's getting a bit silly that Chelsea just go after anyone in South America that can kick ball? Do you feel like there's any substance to Chelsea sending £8.5 million? Is this something for a potential flip in the future? Is it a Strasbourg loanee? Is it some of a Chelsea's first team in the future? What are your overall thoughts and opinions on the player and on Chelsea's South American player strategy? And that's the latest Chelsea news. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on everything that's been reported down below in the comment section. I love having a conversation with you guys. And if you have watched this video all the way to the end, firstly, you're a real one. And I mean that, you're a real one. But secondly, there'll be a thumbnail appears on the screen. So if you are a Chelsea fan who enjoys Chelsea content, make sure you click that thumbnail because you'll enjoy that video too.